The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
All these voices. All these voices. All these things you can't explain. All these painful memories. They keep haunting you and daunting me. It's just the ghost of you and me. It's just the smoke and gasoline. It's just the ghost of you and me. Of you and me.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me as always my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Tonight we have a very interesting and a very unique show. Tonight we're going to do something completely different that we've never done before. Usually what we do on Staring is we have a topic, and I will spend the first half of the show, usually, going through all of the information, the facts, the research on it, all that. And then old boy gives his opinion. Well, tonight we decided to do something a little different because right before we went on air, we had a whole nother show planned. But old boy had this idea of this theory that he has, and also some weird things that have been happening that he wanted to run by me. So I figured, why don't we do it live on air? Instead of doing it off air, let's do it right here for the audience, and let's hear this crazy theory and what's going on and see what we can make of it. So with that being said, I'm going to throw over to old boy and find out what's on his mind. So old boy, go ahead, brother.
Thank you, brother. And yes, this is something new. It's usually James talking for 20, 30 minutes. So he had this idea for a couple shows, and I told him about this thing that's been bothering me for a while. And it's an idea that I've had, and I think we've even done shows before about astral projection and all different universes and stuff like that, and leaving your body. But this one's weird. I had a weird dream. I know everybody does. And I've had a lot of dreams in the last couple years. And it's not like dreams you think. Like, everybody has them in different, but I always have like these different worlds I'm in. But something always happens in reality after, or I see things, and it's kind of weird that happened in real life. And I have a theory. Are our dreams alternate universes we're in? And it's just a theory that I've been thinking about. Is it when we go to sleep, are we looking at other worlds or other dimensions we're in, or other universes at that time that we're our other person we are, and they're so vivid? Why do we have these dreams? Why do we have these kind of dreams? Like, sometimes we'll have scary dreams and they think but these dreams are so vivid, like it's like real occurrences, and then something happens in real life, and that's what kind of bothers me. And I told him I want to do the show, and this is why. So I'll tell you. I had a dream that I was in an alternate world, that I was married to the same wife I was, but stuff had happened, and other people who were in this dream, that it was a whole different scenario. Like, we got a divorce, and we're not getting a divorce, but it was crazy because I actually felt like it was real. Like, this is something that's happened. And it's happened with other dreams. Like, I've had dreams where, like, I've seen something bad happen, or something happens, and it come to find out it happens down the line. I'll think of somebody, and then something weird will happen, and I'll dream about them, and then I'll see them. Or a thing I've always had is, like, I'll think of somebody I haven't thought about, and all of a sudden they'll pop up. And I had that with a friend that I hadn't seen for a while, and I seen him. And a couple weeks later, he died, tragically. And then there's other people I've seen, and it's weird. I would think of them, and I seen them, where I'll dream about them. And God, I haven't thought about them forever. And then all of a sudden I'll dream about them, and I'll see them. Are our dreams opening us up to other us, like other dimensions we're at, different worlds that we're in, and like the Mandela effect, a ripple in time that somewhere another dimension we're in, but we slipped over. What I was telling James, I was in an accident I'd say about 10 years ago. I was totally a different person. No, I didn't get hurt, and it was, it wasn't horrible. No one died, or no one went to the hospital. They said I was fine. But before I saw myself in this accident, I saw it happening. I knew it was going to happen. I saw it with eyes, and I just didn't think about it. But I saw it. And then after that accident, people said, "Oh, you're a little bit different. You came back as something different." This girl I was dating, like, I hadn't seen her for 6-7 months. And they said, "You're different now. You're nicer. You're just different." And it wasn't like, "Oh, I changed because I saw my light flash." It had nothing to do with that, because I've had different times that I've almost died. I wasn't going to die or nothing. It wasn't that bad. But what I'm thinking is maybe I rippled through time to another one of me. And crazy as that sounds, that's why I'm talking about this right now. Like the butterfly effect, you go through time and you do something, change it. No, maybe, just maybe, I had my own Mandela effect, where I ripped through time at that time to another James. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just giving a theory. But another thing is, with these dreams, I see my other realities. That's what I was going to say, realities. That I live in different worlds. Pretty much same scenarios, but different outcomes. Or different people. But there's the same people, but I'm with other people in this outcome. Like in another world, I'm married to somebody I'm friends with here. And the person I was married to is an enemy or a friend I'm friends with. You know what I mean? Or they're not even in the story altogether. Or they're gone. That's I know it's hard for you guys to understand what I'm saying, because it's just coming alive. Because you're used to James and us talking about something about stories, but this is something I deal with all the time. I have vivid dreams of things, and they come true. And it's weird. A lot of things that happen in my life, it comes true. I'm not a psychic or something, but I see things, or I'll want something and it'll come. And it's not just because I did it. Everybody, you work hard, you get it. Yeah, I believe that too. But it just happens. And it's just something weird. It's been going on for a while. And like my friend who died. Okay, I can project myself. I used to. You guys seen Insidious? I seen my friend. I used to be able to sleep, and I would see these things attack me. And I seen my friend after she died, and she didn't even look the same. She could see she was totally like purplish. The one thing I will tell you, something that I see a lot, especially with spirits, they're purple, like a purplish color of blue. She was like a purplish blue color, but it wasn't her. She had an ugly looking face, and she was trying to attack me, but not kill me, but to tell me she was there, but she was just not good. And I could see my body, and I fought it off. And I've had this happen a couple times. I haven't had it happen for a while. That was another thing. That's when I could see things. And I noticed, and I was in my room one time, and I seen something on me, and it was red. It wasn't red. It was like purple. But whatever's in me did father away, and it ran away. But that's another thing. I don't know what it is with me. I have these certain things that I can see, and especially when I dream, something comes true out of it. Maybe not on this one, but I've had other dreams where I've dreamed something, and then it came true a couple days later, a week, months later. I'd see somebody. It was in the dream that I hadn't seen. It's really weird, especially if people I haven't seen. How either something happens, or they pass away, or I see them out of nowhere, or something. They come out of the blue. It's weird. Like I saw them in another world, but they really come into mine. It's really different. This whole show was going to be, because it just came out of nowhere. I just told James about it. So what my theory is are these dreams that I have, and if other people probably have them, and you know what, if you do, let us know about it. Write them in the comments. Tell us. Do you believe this is another alternate universe, a dimension that we see and we're dreaming now? Not that like you're dreaming of, like you see a scary movie, but you dream of your other self. When you go to sleep, you go to that dimension, and you live another life. And sometimes they ripple to each other. or something bad happens, or something tragic, or something where you just accidentally skip into that universe and you come back as something different. Because like I was telling James, I was reading some stories about this, about a lady and her husband. They were at their house, and all of a sudden the guy went outside because he heard some noises. It was pitch dark, but it was 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and their house was light like it was outside. But for a few minutes, it was totally pitch dark, and it wasn't, the sun was gone or any, it was just dark. It wasn't like clips, because they said the house looked like it was light inside. They went outside, it was pitch dark. And all of a sudden, it was gone. It went back to normal. But then they said things changed. It was like a ripple effect. Like this lady who went camping went hiking camping with her boyfriend. Well, all of a sudden she said that she was walking, and then she woke up by herself in a tent, and her boyfriend stayed home. But she said after that her boyfriend was never really the same. He says some different stuff, and even her friends noticed this, that he was totally a different person. He liked different things. He hated certain foods, and all of a sudden he was eating them, and it was the opposite. Did she go through a time warp or a different dimension? Another one was this guy and his friends. They had 4 people, and they saw these trailers getting ready to hit them as they were on the freeway, and there was no way of getting out of this. All of a sudden, he said he closed his eyes and he was past the trailer. There would have been no way of getting away from this, and he did it. And he said it, like you could see, they blacked out, and it was past it like quarter mile. There was a couple other stories about, I think it was like this guy who, he was helping his neighbor. They called him to come help. And he went there and helped him carry this couch upstairs. It was like different stories. So he's helping him downstairs. He carried the couch. He asked him to carry this big old dresser. It was huge. Well, it fell and killed him. Well, he woke up in his bed, not knowing how he got there. But his neighbor called and said, "Hey, can you help me?" He's all, "Yeah, sure." And he did the same scenario and helped him with the couch. He's all, "Can I?" And he's all, "I need you to help me with the dresser." He's all, "I'll do anything but carry that dresser." So he woke up. Did he see what was going to happen? Or he just go in another dimension where he died there and he went to his other dimension, his other reality. Like the one girl, I think she was outside playing with her family. She was on a trampoline, and she woke up back inside her house, walked back out, and everybody's on the trampoline again. She totally lived it again, but in another area. These are just some of the stories I was reading because I wanted to look up this stuff, and I did, guys. I actually looked up a lot of this thing. And this has happened to a lot of people. And it's not time like, oh, they go through another time. It's like they go through a ripple. Like, see me, I'm talking right now. And all of a sudden, I wake up the next day and I tell James about this story. But I was already here. Was I already seen what happened? But it changes. It's not the same. Did I go in another time warp? I start eating, like, I hate onions, right? But I wake up and I love them all of a sudden. That doesn't happen. Say me and James I'm just showing you examples. We went for a hike, and we're walking and hiking, and all of a sudden we go to sleep that night, and I wake up and James calls me, "Hey, you want to go on a hike?" While I was hiking, it just changed. Like they said the lady was saying she was walking with her boyfriend, and all of a sudden she woke. It got black, and she woke up and sleeping on her bed, and it was like she was there and she knows it. Well, another thing happened. There's another story I was reading. The lady had texted her. It was her mom, and her husband was sitting there. So they were texting her about this person. They kept hooking up on a date. And they met and they hooked their friend up, and then they didn't like each other, so they hooked her up with another friend and hooked her up with another friend. It was the same friend. Well, a couple months go by, and they said, "Well, whatever happened to that friend? What are you talking about? I never had that friend." "Yeah, you did." And even the friend said, "Yeah, I dated her." And the other friend, I dated her too because they were trying to hook up with friends hooking up. And I guess they were trying to hook her up. It went through 2 or 3 different friends and they all remembered her. But one lady, I don't know what you're talking about. I never had a friend named that. And they have texts to prove it. And like the one lady said, her mom said it, somebody had died. And they saw the text. And a couple weeks later, she said, I feel really bad. And she said, what are you talking about? She's alive. And she was alive. And they said, the husband said, I heard it. I heard you say it. I was there. And we saw the text messages. But it never happened. Like the Mandela effect. But different. So I've been thinking about this, guys. That's why I wanted to do this. I was like, I don't know if James is going to go for it. Because we've done kind of stuff. But this is something I've been thinking. When I got, before in this accident, when I saw this, did I come back as something else? Before that accident, because I'm totally different than I was before. Or as I'm not crazy. That's just my thinkings. But do you believe that when you have dreams, because I'm doing 2 different things too, that we get lost in our dreams sometimes and we never come back? Also, that was another theory I was going to say, is that's why we die in our sleep, is maybe that we get lost in these dreams and that's another alternate reality, that we leave this reality. That's how we die and go to another reality and just start over. Not reincarnation, just start over as what we are, as who we are now, but just in a different format, like different reality. And it's a theory that I was having. So when we, some people will say like they just saw him like a couple days ago, nothing happened, they just die in their sleep. But like a couple weeks before, they'll say they've had some weird dreams and this and that. Do you think that sometimes that we wake up in another reality that we are in, or we dream about these realities we see all the time, and that's why, God, it was so vivid. Like you see, like people like say that so like I was living it, like I could touch it and I could see things. Maybe that's another world we're in, another reality. Dimension. I'm trying to keep it, I wouldn't say world, dimension or reality, a whole nother universe that we are totally a different person. We do different things, but sometimes we connect to that other person, or sometimes it leaps over to that other person, or somebody comes over from there. Say that you're like for instance, you have a friend and all of a sudden he just changes, does stuff differently. You're used to them doing something, or somebody you care about, and all of a sudden they just change. Like they hated something, but now they like it. And people do that, but it's just dumb things like eat food. People don't usually change their food. If they hate something, they hate something. I hate apple pie, and then the next day he starts eating apple pie, and that's kind of, whatever. But then he hated grape soda and he drinks Coke. But now he hates grape Coke but drinks grape soda. That makes no sense. Or he would say something like, I gotcha. And he doesn't say that no more. He says something opposite. No, I don't got you. You know what I mean? I'm showing you an example. Or, God, I'm trying to think of, like he says, hell to the king, baby. And then he says something opposite to that he never says before. Like, I don't know. I can't think of anything. Sugar cakes or something. That sounds so dumb. But you know what I'm saying? He says something different he never says. And he never says that word anymore. He used to say it all the time, but he says something different. He used to hate the word he says, but he says it. So it's just a different person altogether. But it's the same person, if you get what I'm saying. But it's from a different universe. And you fell into that other universe and you got stuck there. Like you were really doing something in some way, and maybe it's the area you're at. Maybe this area where they were at takes you into that other dimension. And it's like a ripple through time there. Like you touch, like you see through movies, you touch the other side and it's the other dimension. Maybe that's what happens in some of these spots and areas. They go into dimensions. Like when they went away and the sun was totally black, but it was totally light inside the house. It made no sense. Maybe they were going to another dimension. Everything switched over. And then they said things were different. Like the neighbor had a different looking dog, or the neighbor had a different looking colored car. And their mailbox was on a different side. It made no sense. Like my mailbox is on the right side. It was on the left side now. My car is blue, but in this reality, I wake up and it's green. You see there's just a little difference. My dog is black and white, and in this reality, it's white and black. But it's a different color, white and black. It's like spots in white and black, and it's white and black, black and white spots. So it's just opposite. You like butterscotch, and all of a sudden you hate it, and you like fudge. Or do you like cherries, and all of a sudden you hate cherries, and you like, in this dimension, you love strawberries. You love Metallica, but you hate Metallica all of a sudden, and you listen to rap. Nothing wrong with that. You know, like Tupac. I'm just showing an example. You love Star Wars, and all of a sudden in the other universe, you hate Star Wars, and you like Lord of the Rings. So, and all of a sudden you start liking other things. All of a sudden you hated them. And you don't know what happened. Like, you remember liking something, or you ever remember you like deja vu, where you remember doing something, but you remember that I've had this happen. Like, I know I've been told something, and then like they say, I never said that, and that's just somebody saying that, but you know it was said, and then people change it. You know exactly what was said, or you saw something, and you saw it with your own eyes, and now it's different. Or it vanishes and you never see it again. And then you find it some weird place years later. Like it was never there. You know it was there, and you find it like in another room. Or like somewhere you'd never think it would be. Like, why would it be there? Have you ever had that? Like you lost something and you know it was in your room, but then you find it somewhere like in a cellar, and it shouldn't even have been there. I mean, there's chances you could have moved, or somebody could have, but what if you live on your own and you know you just had that book, and all of a sudden it shows up somewhere else? Like it was in your bathroom and it shows up in your room, and you never touched it. You live by yourself. You know, and you're probably thinking about this. It's kind of weird. Like, it is to me. It's kind of blew my mind, guys, but I was thinking about this. And it's bothered me the last couple of times because I've had these vivid dreams, and it wasn't really something horrible, but it's like I was there. And I would remember them. And they were in, a lot of people don't dream in color. That's like, there's only like 3%. And I dream in color. Vivid. I remember a lot of my dreams. That's why I don't like to dream. Because they're too real to me. Not like they're horrible things. Everybody's had their bad dreams, but they're just vivid. And I'll wake up and I'll remember everything, and it'll bother me. Like I can't get rid of it. Then I'll forget about it. But then something will happen from that dream. Say I saw a car in that dream, I'll see it in real life. Or something will happen and I'll see it. It will happen in real life to somebody I know. I'll get something and then I'll buy it. Or I've found stuff that I knew I never had, but all of a sudden I have it. And I don't know how I got it. But I wanted it when I was a kid, but now I found it and I never knew I had it. Like it's a toy I wanted. I found that once. I'm like, how the hell did I get this? I've always wanted it, but it was brand new. I never played with it. Maybe that we wish stuff and it actually comes true. Maybe that just showed up. Did you ever think that's another theory I'm thinking? Maybe sometimes you really want something. They say you can dream and make things happen. We make things a reality. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that we dream and then our reality comes real. Or maybe we go into another dimension. It's just, I was thinking about this, and it's really bugged me the last couple weeks. And then I had this dream yesterday and today and a couple weeks before. And I was like, man, I got to tell James this and see what his opinion is, because James is into this stuff. And I wanted to think of, can you really remote viewing? Like, you know, when you want to get, you know, something, it comes. But it wasn't just about that. Is your dreams can get you in another dimension? Do we sometimes walk into these alternate worlds or dream in these alternate worlds? That's why I was throwing this all together, where it doesn't, do we like, we see somewhere else we're in another universe. Maybe there's 39 different people but it's us. And then sometimes you'll see like, oh, I seen somebody look exactly like you. I seen a James Ash that looked exactly like me, had blonde hair. He looked exactly like me. They said that there's always one or two of us that look the same. maybe that's the same me, but in a different world, in a different time zone, in a different place. And that's what I'm thinking. And then sometimes I fall into those dreams where I see that other person. It's me, but it's in a different world, different time, different universe. Nothing crazy, but it's just, I was just going to do this as the show. And I told James it's going to be about 15 to 20 minutes. So when you guys are listening to the show, you're going to, well, what the hell am I listening to? Well, you know what? I figured it maybe for once, old boy can tell something. And this one was really good because I've really been bothering me. And usually if it doesn't bother me, I just don't care. I don't tell him. I told James a couple times I've started shows maybe once or twice out of the almost 200 shows we've done, or a little over that. And this is why I wanted to do it, because I had this and I was telling James this idea. So I'm like, he said, let's just go with it. It's perfect. So when you guys listen to this, tell me what you think. I want to know what your thinking of this is and what your opinion is. And if this has ever happened to any of you guys. So other than that being said, James, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to you, brother.
There were multiple different things here. And I'm going to hit each one of them. But believe it or not, even though there was all these separate things, by the end of when I'm done talking, they're all going to tie in together. I'm going to expertly weave all of this into a thread of a narrative that is going to be brilliant. So, first, we have premonitions in dreams. There's a long, long history of prophets and seers and people who have had dreams or visions that end up coming true in the future. I myself dreamt that the Challenger was going to blow up a couple days before it happened. And then I remember watching it in school and freaking out because it happened exactly as I dreamt it was going to happen. A lot of native tribes and ancient peoples believe that when you dream, you go to the spirit world. That your dreams are not simply a figment of your mind or your imagination. That you are spiritually traveling to another realm. The realm of the dead, the spirit realm. Astral projection is when your essence, your spirit, your consciousness leaves your body and travels outside of your body. Native people also did that. They would do it in sweat lodges. They would do it multiple different ways. They also believed when you did that you went to the spirit realm so that you could communicate with the ancestors. Now, the reason I bring that up is because dreaming and astral projection are actually very similar, if this theory holds any water. Because according to the theories, when you dream, you are leaving your body and going into another realm. Into either the spiritual realm, like the natives believe and the ancients believed, or modern physics believes in the multiverse theory. Now, the multiverse theory essentially states that our universe is like the page of a book. And every page in that book is a different universe. That's all laid on top of each other. And there is an infinite number of different universes. Every time there is a decision that needs to be made, you're driving down the street, you come to a stop sign. You can turn left, you can go right, you can go straight. There is a universe in which you turn right. There's a universe in which you went straight, and there's a universe in which you went left. So every decision every person makes on a day-to-day basis creates multiple new universes. Now, one of the theories for the Mandela effect is that our universe was destroyed. Either when they used the Hadron Collider or some other way. There's multiple different theories on how the universe was destroyed. But essentially, the universe was destroyed, and when it was destroyed, we all leapt to the next universe. Instead of just dying, our consciousness went to the next universe and joined with the other us. Now, there's multiple religions and multiple ancient civilizations that believe that when you die, you go to the afterlife. There are religions that believe that you are reincarnated. One thing all of these belief systems have in common is that death is not the end for us. There is something after that. Modern physics, there's theories that state that when you die, your energy, right, your consciousness, your spirit, goes off into the universe. In some of these theories, where it deals with multiverse theory or string theory, is that that energy, your consciousness, will actually go to the next closest universe. And it will join with the other you that's in that universe. So, if that theory is true, each time we die, our consciousness goes to the next universe and joins with whatever us is there. So that would explain people changing, being a different person, all of a sudden liking different things or having different influences they didn't have before. Or it would explain memories of, hey, I really remember him saying, Luke, I am your father, and everybody else says, no, he didn't. He only said, I am your father. Or Bernstein and Bear-Stained Bears. All the different Mandela effects out there. Why some people remember it one way, some people remember it another way, it's because it depends on which universe you remember it from. If that makes sense. That's kind of the ongoing theory that will explain part of the Mandela effect and also explain part of what Old Boy is talking about. So when you throw the idea of dreaming, you're leaving this realm, this dimension, this universe, and traveling to another. Maybe in that other universe that you traveled to in your dream, you saw the outcome of the accident, right? But in your own reality, the outcome is close to that, but just a little bit different. And that would make sense because there's differences between universes. So that would explain why you would have that premonition, that feeling of deja vu. Hey, I know what's getting ready to happen here because I've lived this before. Because you did see it when you were in another universe watching it happen from your other you. So that kind of ties those two in together. Now, Old Boy mentioned seeing purple a lot. A lot of these spiritual creatures that are attacking him are purple. And there's a lot of things that are purple that he sees when he's traveling. Now that makes sense too, because if you talk about auras, if you talk about chakras, right? Purple in an aura or like a heart chakra will symbolize heartbreak. If it's in the heart chakra, it'll symbolize hopelessness, depression, being introverted, all of those things. So if you think about somebody who is outside of their body, especially if you're talking about some sort of evil entity, right? If it's not a person, if it's like a demon or some sort of evil entity that is attacking your body when you're out of it, that evil entity is going to feel hopelessness. It's going to feel lost. It's going to feel depressed and upset and angry. All of those things that purple symbolizes. because that entity is evil. Therefore, that entity is separated from God. So it does not going to have peace and happiness and joy. It's going to be the opposite of those things. So that would make a lot of sense why those things are purple that he sees when he's traveling to the other universes. Now, my story myself is well documented on how I have nightmares every night, and that's where my books come from, and that whole explanation. I've done it many times. I believe, and I've been told by a lot of really knowledgeable people that study these kind of things, that what I'm doing is a form of astral projection as well. I'm traveling to either other realms, other dimensions, other universes, whatever, while I'm asleep, and I'm seeing the things there. That's why it seems so real. And when I wake back up in my body, I have that recollection of what I've seen, and it seems so real, and a lot of details match up with details in the real world, in my world, as far as like street names and places I've never been, house numbers and knowing what the house looks like, all those kind of things that I would have absolutely no way of knowing because it's all the way across the country or something. But I was there when I was dreaming, and those details match the details in real life. That also applies to what Old Boy was talking about in his dreams, because if dreaming is us leaving our bodies and going to another realm, whether it's another universe, if you want to use like astrophysics terms and theories with the multiverse theory, or whether you subscribe to the idea that it is another dimension or the spiritual realm, or whichever way you want to go with it. If that's what we're doing when we're dreaming, then that means that is a common experience, either for everyone, or at the very least for people that have that latent psychic ability to be able to astral project, either consciously or unconsciously. Now, I tend to think that it's something that everybody can do. They just don't realize that they're doing it, or they don't realize that they can do it. Because most people, when they will tell you about their dream, they'll say, well, I was sitting in school, and then I noticed I was in my pajamas. And then next thing I know, I'm eating a pizza with Bill Cosby, and then I'm flying in a plane with the Red Baron, and we're shooting at Snoopy. And you think, well, that's a weird-ass dream, dude. And in their mind, they're thinking all of that was the same dream. It all happened. But science tells us that we have hundreds or maybe even thousands of dreams a night. That each of our dreams only lasts 1 or 2 seconds. And it's done. And then we move on to the next one. But see, our brain is not going to remember every single dream we have. So what it does is a memory trick. It's a lot like when you would learn the alphabet, you would learn the song so that you could remember the alphabet. And there's different tricks like that for numbers, for learning multiplication tables and stuff like that. Your brain uses these little shortcuts or these little tricks in order to remember things. So what it does is it takes a hodgepodge or a best of, so to speak, from all of your dreams. So it takes key pivotal moments that are important that you need to remember from each one of your dreams, and it merges them all together into a narrative so it can remember it. Because your brain works better when it's using a narrative or when it's using a song, a melody, in order to imprint that information on your conscious mind so you do not forget it. So what your brain does is it takes clips, the best, most important parts of all these different dreams you've had that night, and it mixes them all together. So you may be sitting in class and then realize you're in your pajamas, and those are two different dreams. You were sitting in your pajamas doing something that was important, and you were in class learning something that was important. Your brain combined the two. Next thing you know, you're eating pizza with Bill Cosby. Well, those are also a couple different dreams. Your brain does that with all of the dreams throughout the night. So what you end up with is this nonsense version of a dream that makes no sense. but it's not actually one dream. It's many different dreams. So what I'm thinking is everybody travels when they dream. It's simply the fact that not all of us can remember the full dreams. Like I remember in graphic detail, down to colors, smells, everything, the dream I have. Now, I don't remember every dream I have. Because if it's true that we dream hundreds, maybe even thousands of times a night, I don't remember that many. I remember one. But instead of remembering one that is a mixtape, so to speak, of all the different dreams, I have one scene that I remember in graphic detail, every little minute detail I can remember when I wake up. But I don't remember all the other ones, if that makes sense. But I think it's something that we all do. So I think all of this is actually connected. It's all traveling to another universe, another dimension, or whatever. Now, how do you explain the difference in time? Old Boy said multiple times when he was talking, he talked about time warps, where he sees something in the future that's going to happen. And he comes back to his body and it's a day away or 2 days away or an hour away or whatever. And then whatever he saw happened, but slightly different. How do you explain that time difference? Well, to do that, we are going to go to religion, because religion deals with the spiritual realm. We can also do it scientifically with the realm of paranormal activity. When we're talking the end times, we know from the Bible that the rapture happens. All believers are taken up to heaven in an instant. 7 years takes place here on earth, where the tribulation period happens. While that 7 years is happening here on earth, up in heaven, we are having the feast. Basically, we're having a cookout with Jesus. We're hanging out and we're eating. We're feasting, and then when it's done, we come back down. Now, that is a massive, massive simplification, but I don't want to get real deep in the weeds on it. I just want to bottom line it for you. So in the time it takes for us to have a cookout, right, to have like a meal where we hang out and eat, 7 years takes place here on earth. So time moves differently in the spiritual realm than it does here on earth. The question has often been asked, why do we not have any modern day spirits ever? Like whenever you are talking to a spirit on a ghost box, or whenever you have sightings of apparitions, it's always some 1800s looking ghost or something like that. We never have like the millennial ghost that's talking about Britney Spears or Justin Bieber or using slang from today. Why is that? A lot of people have asked me that question. I think the reason for that is because time moves differently in the spirit realm. If the time of a cookout in the spiritual realm takes 7 years on earth, then that means that that person that died recently, it'll be years and years and years before any substantial time passes for that person. So they have to figure out how to operate in the spiritual realm. They have to figure out how to manifest. They have to figure out how to harness the energy to be able to be heard when they speak on a spirit box. That stuff is not something that happens overnight. That takes time to learn. So the more time it takes there, you amplify that time by a great deal here. So if the spirits we're getting here are spirits from Civil War times in that time period, that means that they've had that much time to practice and to learn how to manifest themselves audibly and visually so that we can see them and hear them and communicate. Spirits that just died have literally only been gone for a few seconds. Even if it's been years here, it's literally been minutes there. So they haven't had the time yet to learn how to operate in the spiritual realm, if that makes sense. So that answers that question, and it also answers the question of why he saw things that took place in the future. Because if what we're dealing with the spiritual realm is simply another dimension or another universe, then time is going to operate differently depending on which universe you're in. So in one universe, you may see things that haven't happened yet for another day or two here. In another universe, you might be a year ahead of what you are here. Because maybe in that universe, the only difference is that the sun and the orbits around the sun are different. So that years pass at a different rate or something like that. Who knows what the differences could be? It could be something very small, it could be something very big. But either way, the time is different there than it is here. And that is backed up by many religions and many different ancient civilizations, their belief systems, of what they believed the spiritual realm was and what they believed happened in the spiritual realm. If you look at like Norse mythologies and Norse beliefs, they believed in Valhalla. They believed that if they died in battle and they were worthy, they would go to Valhalla. And every day they would battle and die. And then every night they would come back and feast. And then do it all over again the next day. And this took place forever. And the battles would last weeks in our time, but only the day for them. So even for them, time moved differently, if that makes sense. So I think that would answer that question as to why there's a difference in what you see there and what you see here time-wise, and why it appears when you come back here that it is a premonition of a future event, but in reality, you're seeing it in real time there. It's just time is operating differently in that realm. So that's about covers all of what Old Boy was talking about, I believe. I'm going to throw it back over to Old Boy and see if any of that made any sense, and if that answered any of the questions, and also if there's anything that I forgot to talk about. So Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
Pretty much that makes some sense, but there's some things like when I was talking to you about, remember I was telling you the stories about like somebody was walking and all of a sudden they're just somewhere else and things are different. Like, you know, like you walk into, this is not just dreaming, is you're in live action, like me and you're talking, and all of a sudden, like I walk and all of a sudden I'm doing something different. And that's another thing I was talking about, because I was throwing all kinds of things together, but that's like it's another dimension. Like I just accidentally walked into another place, and then there's like rips in the universe, and it could be anywhere. Like say they were just walking, all of a sudden they went into a different realm, or it just happens where they're at. That was another thing I was talking about. So pretty much you got all pretty much wrapped up, because I know we don't have a lot of time, but yeah, that was the other thing I was talking about, is like these people said they're like live awake and this happens, and this happened to me before too. So maybe that's pretty much could be what it is. But that's why I want to do the show, because I've had this happen numerous times. And I was seeing what James's opinion was and what you guys thought about it. What did you think that it could be? And I wanted to know what everybody thought, and hopefully you guys can tell me what your opinion is and what you think this is about. Because I said numerous different things. It was a couple different things I was talking about. And do you think these are different realities, or do you think we're just dreaming like James is talking about? We're having little dreams, and we're just the parts that most important were coming to us, and then it gets shown later down in life? Or do we just go to we just time traveling through different dimensions? Are we Mandela effect everywhere? Are we accidentally going into another dimension, like James said? Multiple different ones. They all split together when they were doing what he was talking about. Now we're in multiple different dimensions, and now we're just never going to be in the same one. So it makes a lot of sense to me. And then when I was dreaming and seeing things, that could make sense. There's different demons with different emotions and stuff, like chakras, like he was talking about. Chakras. So that could make a lot of sense to me. So I would like to know what you guys think, and let us know. It's a different kind of show, guys. You know, I wanted to do this one for a while, and me and James were talking. So I figured I was going to talk a little bit about this and see what he thought. And he gave me a little bit of the opinions on everything. But tell me, like, I would love to hear other people's stories. I love to hear other people's things. We always ask that at the show, hey, tell us what you think. Have different stories to tell us, like something similar or something like I'm talking about. Like he was the Berenstein Bear thing, the Mandela effect, where they spell the name different. And I've seen, and just to get into the Mandela thing, I'll tell you guys a story. My friend had a BW bug, Volkswagen, sorry, and it has this symbol of the V and the old, and it had we've looked this up. It has a line in it. Well, they say that never existed, but my friend has the rims, and it's there, and they said it doesn't exist. Just like Febreze, it was spelled differently. And people said they have proof of it, and then it's gone now. And they said it never existed. Now, that could be a promotional thing, guys. If you think about it, maybe they just didn't want to, they didn't like the name, and now they're going to try to make. Do you think they're just doing that so you think that, so you forget the real name and they changed it, and then they didn't think people would really notice it, and when people did, they say it never existed? That could be also a marketing thing, too. So you guys got to think about that on a lot of things. Like now with Mandela, that's a whole different story. But with some of these things, they're always with marketing. Maybe that's what it is. They want people to forget it because they knew it was a different kind of name. They wanted to try to make it different, and so they're just going to tell people it was different. So that could be always a marketing tool for you to get somewhere. Then now they're trying to say, "Oh, it never existed." Well, it probably did. They're just changing it because they don't want people to know that. So you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. They probably are changing the whole story and say, "Oh, it never existed." There's other things that's happened in reality that's changed, and I've seen that too. Like I swear I've told somebody something, and no, I never said that, or they don't remember. It's just I remember seeing something, and then it's gone. But then I'll find it later, and that's what I'm talking about. And with these dreams, they're vivid to the point where maybe and they're not bad. It's just they're just stupid. They're not like stupid, but just don't make any sense. But they do. I don't know how you can. That's kind of out there theory, but that's what I'm saying. It's like it makes sense to me, but it wouldn't make any sense to anybody else. So that's pretty much what I think. Let me know what you guys think, and go ahead, James. You can finish it off, brother.
This one was a lot of fun for me because usually the way this works is there's a ton of research that goes into each show. I spend weeks researching things, and when we actually do the show, I've got pages and pages and pages of research to go off of. This one was more of a think on your feet kind of deal because I had no idea when I started the show what old boy was going to say. Because he started to talk about it off air, and I said, well, let's do this on air, and we started. So I had no idea what was coming. And then I sat here and listened to him just like you did, and I had to just draw off of my lifetime of experience and research in the paranormal field to try to make sense of what he was talking about and to come up with a logical explanation for what was taking place. And I really enjoy things like that, where I have to kind of think on my feet and figure it out and go on the fly. Now, I have a little bit of an advantage because, like I said, I've been researching this stuff my entire life. So I have a great deal of knowledge that I can draw off of, spur of the moment, right off the bat without any research. I don't have to know what's coming and do research on it first. I can do it right off the top of my head also if I need to. And that's kind of what we did tonight. And I enjoy that kind of thing. It's a really cool brain exercise. And it's kind of a way to test yourself and see if you still got it. But we are pretty much out of time for this show. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this show. Let us know down in the comments what you guys think. And we will catch you on the next one. Until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.